talk about your coordination lab handout, and I'm going to start on the first page. It's non-equilibrium testing is what we're going to perform now. My daughter Gianna is going to be the patient. So this is for a neurological patient that you are doing these tests for, and in your handout you will see that the deficit or the clinical feature you're looking for is under each test that you would do in order to elicit that particular feature. So you want to pick the correct test to make sure that that patient is displaying what you are looking for and an adequate test to do so. So for competency testing, you do need to know your test because we're going to give you that clinical feature. So knowing what your feature is, so dysmetria, attention tremor, all these on the first page, you'll see them in bold. Knowing the definition is really important so that you know what test to pick. So the first one that we're going to do is finger to nose. And every time I do do a test with the patient, I'm going to have them do 5 to 7 trials, and if it involves 2 extremities, I'm going to do both, make sure I do both extremities. If it involves a more challenging part of the test, so if I can do eyes open, I'm going to do eyes closed. To make it more challenging, I want to see how the patient performs. And then I'll talk about more later on. So the first thing I want to do, of course, I introduce myself to my patient. I make sure the patient is sitting in usually a wheelchair or something with arms or handles. Because remember, this is a neurological patient. Poor balance is probably also happening with the coordination deficits. So the first one that we're going to do, ready, Gianna? Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to do something called, this is the first one on your handout, finger to nose. So I want you to stretch out your arms, and so the abduction to 90 degrees with the shoulder. And you're going to take that finger and you're going to bring it to your nose, and you're going to do it 5 times. On your, whichever hand they start with is fine. And what I'm looking for is what you're looking at on your sheet, your clinical features. On the other side, 5 to 7 times. You always want to do enough trials so that if something starts to appear, you can tell. Good. Then put your hands on your lap. All right. So the second test I would do, because I just did eyes open, I want to do eyes closed. So this time, Gianna, what I'd like for you to do, and I'm sitting in this way so they can see me and they understand. Sometimes we have to repeat our instructions or change our instructions. Remember, this is cognitively impaired patients possibly. So make sure you're clear and you speak right within their eye level, and make sure they understand, and you're slow in your speech. So one more time, Gianna, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to do 5 times on your right, 5 times on the left. So I'm watching for dysmetria, I'm watching for intention tremor. If she had the tremor, obviously, as she goes to that intended target, she would tremor. Or if she had hypo or hypermetria, she wouldn't quite reach the target correctly. Thank you. Okay, so she has no deficit, thankfully. All right, so the next one is finger to finger on your handout. So still involves the same the patient's own body. He's going to stretch out here, and you're going to bring your fingers together 5 to 7 times. So it's utilizing bilateral. That's okay. It's okay. And the tests that are showing no deficits is going to be negative. So she's going to have negative tests. Okay. If they were positive, they'd be positive for dysmetria 5 to 7 times. Did you do 5 to 7 times?
I did 6.
Okay. Good. Okay. So now I want her to do it with her eyes closed. Remember, a more challenging part of the test. So eyes closed, and do that test again for me 5 to 7 times. And I'm watching her as she does this to see if we see any deficits. So no dysmetria, test is negative. No intention tremor, test is negative. Good. Doing good. Okay, so that test is done. All right, so the next one is finger to tester's finger. So now it's going to involve me, the tester. So now, Gianna, what I'd like for you to do with your right hand first, I want you to place it down on your lap, and you're going to touch your finger to my finger, okay? So 1, 5 to 7 times. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the next one, I'm going to do her left hand, making sure that I'm looking at both extremities to see if any feature comes out, because sometimes patients display it in one side, not the other. Okay, so now, of course, I can't make her eyes closed, right? Because then how would you psychically know where my fingers are? So this time we're going to do moving finger. So her target's going to move, and it helps to helps all of her joints and her muscles to see if they synergistically work. So okay, on the right hand, I'm going to have you reach for my finger, and I'm going to move it this time. Now come down to your lap. Okay, here. Good. And you want to mix it up a little bit, so the patient's using their eye-hand coordination the most challenging way. Okay, so now your left hand, down, up, down, up. Good, okay. So the next one is your alternate finger to nose. So again, it involves me. So stationary finger first. You're going to now go from your nose to my finger. Okay, nose, finger, nose, finger, nose, finger. You want to make it more challenging and show more joint movement or involvement. You can do nose, lap, here to the finger. It depends on what you want to do. Okay. All right. So the other one. So left hand. Good. 4, 5. Great. And now I can make it more challenging by moving around. Again, I'm looking at the same features that we've been looking at: intention tremor, dysmetria, or now we have dyssynergia, which was the last one as well. So knowing those features, again, the definitions of the features. Good. So I'm moving it around, making it more challenging. Good. One more. And now we'll do it with the other hand. Remember, you want to test both. Good. Doing good. All right. So again, her tests are coming out negative. All right. So we just finished 4. The next on the list is pronation and supination, and that's for dysdiadochokinesia. So again, knowing that definition is key. So let's see, it's going to involve alternating movements and speed. Okay, so obviously if she had the deficit, she wouldn't be able to do this. Okay, so Gianna, we're going to start off slow. I'm going to have you put your hands on your lap and then face up. So it's pronation and supination. You don't need a target. You do it like so, but I like a target. It helps with the lap if the patient has something to target. So go a little faster. I'm going to tell you to speed up. A little faster. Keep going, fast as you can. Okay, and obviously she can go really fast. She does not have dysdiadochokinesia. So that would be the alternating speed is important. So telling them to go more rapidly. And you'll see we have an equilibrium test for that as well. By walking, we can see if they slow up and reduce their speed or go faster for dysdiadochokinesia. Okay, the next one is rebound test. So this checks the check reflex. Okay? So I'm going to choose a particular side, and I want to see, now you wouldn't tell your patient what you expect to see because you want to add that element of surprise to see if their arm can stop after you remove your pressure. So, Gianna, I'm going to ask you to come up and meet my hand. Good. And I want you to really, and actually you can do it here too at the forearm, and I think your test on your paper says shoulder is in neutral, elbow flex to 90, and then we can try to push the elbow into extension. So whether it's at the humerus or at the forearm, it doesn't matter. But we chose the forearm. So I'm going to ask you to come up, meet my hand. Okay? Let's flex this a little bit. Right here. And I want you to resist me. So I'm going to push down, you're going to push up. Keep on pushing. Push, 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 push as hard as you can. Push, 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 push. I'm going to remove. And as I remove, I'm blocking to make sure that she doesn't get hit with her own hand. Because that would mean that she didn't have the check reflex, but she stopped. So her check reflex is intact. So she had a negative for rebound phenomenon. So as you remove, don't tell the patient when you're going to do that to see if they can stop themselves. Okay, so that was rebound phenomenon. Okay, I'm going to do one more for your non-equilibrium. The others we'll save for supine testing. So this time, Gianna, I'm just going to see if she has postural fixation. See if she has number 7 postural tremors. So we're looking for postural tremors. Back up a little bit. I just want you to hold out both your hands just like this, as still as you can. And I'm going to ask the patient to do that for at least 8 seconds to see if there's any wavering or any tremoring. So we're looking for, again, postural tremors. So they have to be engaged with their muscles to hold still. Okay, great. Now you can rest your hands on the lap. The next one I'm going to have her do is do each leg. We're going to do one at a time because sometimes it's very taxing to hold both up. So one at a time. Hold it for 8 to 10 seconds up still. And if you see a little quiver because of some quad weakness, that's not an indication for a tremor. Tremor would really be wavering. Good. And let me see the other side. And that's for postural tremor. And the last 3, thank you, G. The last 3 are laying down supine, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to talk about it, but it would be included in your competency. And that's the end of